Tools and technology that make your farming life better. What are they and why do they matter to you so much? That's what we're talking about in this episode of The Granary with my friends, Kevin Matthews, Chad Henderson, Matt Miles. You ready for a conversation with some real farmers about real issues? The best part? You're invited. So pour yourself a drink, grab a snack, most importantly, pull up a chair. Welcome to The Granary. Hey guys. All right. I know that you guys probably are like saying, oh, wait a minute, Damian tossed another topic at me. I don't know. And then they're going to say, Matt, hell, he doesn't even get out and do the farm anymore. He's just in the office all the time. What tools, technology do you use on your farming operation? You're like, oh my God, this is a life changer. I think you can go back to the first thing, the second thing, the third thing. What do you like? What do you use? Why does it matter?
I wouldn't know if I'm not doing any of the work.
Yeah, I'm not the one that says that. They're the guys that say that.
I didn't say that.
He ain't never said
I don't know.
Last time you were at this very table, you know what they did to Matt? They got him he made him get his hands out and said, "You don't have any calluses, Matt. You don't really do farm work anymore."
Are we going back to mules? Or where are we going with it?
Yeah.
The first innovation, auto steer. What was before that? Which thing did you say like, man, this is a game changer?
Yeah, so we went from hand. If we're going all the way back, we're going back from hand picking to the cotton picker. That was the first. But I mean,
And the
really,
cotton gin and all that.
the innovations have been in the harvesting. You know, we went from a picker that we dumped in a cotton trailer that you had to manually tromp to the square bales, you know, with a module builder that we thought there wasn't going to be anything better than that. Now, my dad was refused to use them when they first come out because you were actually putting your cotton on the ground. He's like, I ain't never put no cotton on the ground.
Because it degraded the value of their quality.
But it ended up being an inch or two, and it was way more efficient. And then when they come with a round bale, was a game changer. I don't see how. I'm sure there'll be an autonomous picker, I guess, but the round bale revolutionized the cotton industry.
Yeah, right. Now it's like when you go buy a hay field, and it's a lot easier, and it's all that.
Well, like you said, I don't work, so
I didn't say that. That guys sometimes say
operations. Who do you think picks my cotton?
I actually think that I heard Temple Rhodes bash on you about not doing enough farming work. It's not these guys.
Oh, no, it ain't them guys for sure.
No, not while we're here. Maybe later.
But the Operations Center alone has been a big deal for us.
There's the technology that's...
The John Deere Operations Center has almost become flawless. It's like a Bible to land. I mean, we can be 1,000 miles away and know what every single piece of machinery is doing and where it's at. And that just keeps getting better all the time.
You're the tool guy. You're the machinery guy. What's the game changer that came along and you're like, wow, man, this is revolutionary?
I'm going to pass to Kevin.
All right. What's the game changer that was revolutionary? He likes to do this all the time.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. I understand. He likes to see he gets better stories. No, you know, the auto steer, you mentioned that was a great thing. But what really put money into farmers' pockets was when we become with section control on sprayers and section control on planters to be able to get independent row shutoffs. We quit our overlapping. We become a lot more efficient with our herbicides and our pesticides that we sprayed. And that was in our lifetime, mine and Chad's lifetime. Matt's a little older than us, but
well, it's on Matt.
I'm telling you what, brother. I'm sorry.
Well, you started it.
Yeah. I know, but now I feel like I got to give you a hug.
But no, I mean seriously, that was you know, when we built the first planter and put section control on it, we was thinking about our overlap, you know, where the corn was not yielding because we went from 28,000 to 50,000+. But then when we got done planting, we returned 28 units of seed that year, less than the previous year. And we're like, whoa, wait a minute. We wasn't thinking about the seed saving side on it. And auto steer is nice. It's a convenience, but those section coverage controls is profitability.
I didn't even know they were called that. Section coverage control. So the idea that you're not, if you got a 16-row planter and the 4 rows over here that are overlapping, don't just overlap. You can just shut them off. That's called section coverage control.
It actually shuts itself off.
Yeah.
You got a boundary of the field is the way ours works. And when it hits that boundary, it shuts off.
So you're not putting the seed twice in one same place. Same with spray, obviously, when you're on edges and whatever. All right, you ready to go, Mr. I Pass?
You've had an hour to think.
Yeah, I mean, all those things are great. The advances in the planters, you know, have been good. You know, we got the exact emerge planters, you know, where we're controlling the seed all the way down, electric drive, trying to get the harmonics out of it. You know, all that stuff's been good. But still, you look at the tools we're using today. How many people could run their farm, they think, today without a battery impact? Oh man, I tell you what, them Milwaukee's is a deal right there now.
I mean, just look at how much we used to use air.
Yep.
And now how little we use air.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking about that yesterday. I was going looking for a slack adjuster piece to go on a dump truck and in the toolbox, and right there set the air wrench with so much dust and all on it. And I'm like, man, that is the top of the line.
We had them on every truck,
and we don't even use them now. All we use is the electric impacts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're done doing this thing about, who uses tools and who doesn't. I'll go with mine. Mine's more rudimentary than all that. You guys go straight to this advanced technology. It costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. I was going to tell you, around my hobby farm here, bale forks on the front of the tractor. I don't lift anything that weighs more than 100 pounds now. And so you're saying, well, that's not that big of an innovation. Well, it was for me because any single thing that looks like a job renovating these properties out here, I'm like, hang on. This is not a job for me or a pick or a shovel or my back. This is going to be a job for the tractor.
If we're going to go that route, we're going to go the forklift versus the hand truck.
Well, if
we're going to go that far.
We didn't have the money to have a forklift when I was younger.
No, we got the first hand truck. I thought that was awesome.
When we got a forklift, I mean, in today's world, they'll walk 300 yards to go get the forklift to keep from lifting a 50-pound bag.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, you're like... Well,
I said they, because I'm in office.
I'm going to tell you though, it's really an interesting thing because there's a bunch of stuff like, okay, yeah, you're going to cut down a dead tree. And I'm like, well, I can cut it into a bunch of little bitty pieces and then bend over and pick them all up, or I can cut it in 5-foot sections. And then that bale fork, I can come up there with the forks and boom, boom, boom. Like, can
you get one of them in here where I can stoke it in?
Well, I was going to say, you might need my bale forks to come in here and just put the logs on the fire in case you can't feel the heat from this TV show you're watching right here.
Yeah, it's getting pretty warm. I tell you what, y'all roasted me.
He and Temple said about seeing how hot they could make it. They burned down 1.5 oak trees so far.
I'm going to burn his firewood up.
If it gets any hotter, I'm quitting.
I know that's pretty simple. Bale forks, forklift. When you start thinking, what's made my life easier? Some of those things, let's not overlook them. You get a skid loader. My brother used to say, growing up with a dairy farm, we have a skid loader because they didn't really become a thing until really the 80s when they kind of really caught on. And he said, we wouldn't have had a milk surplus. We never did have a milk surplus until skid loaders became omnipresent on all the dairy operations because you throw 2 skid loaders out there, it's not even work. You're just sitting in there. It's almost kind of fun. You can just keep doing stuff. And
till they break down in the manure pile.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of work in there. All right, what's your favorite technology? You said tools. You talked about battery-operated pneumatics. What's your other favorite technology?
Pass.
Making for brilliant.
I can answer for him. His baby's the planter.
Yeah.
I mean, we mentioned it, Tom. We kind of mentioned it, but
the planter's great. One thing that stood out for me is, Tim, he come back and run the combine.
Merge over other.
Well, yeah, but no, Tim come back to the farm this past year, full season, and we had a bad crop, so it was a good time for them to learn to run stuff that they hadn't had opportunities because they obviously weren't going to run a lot of good crop out on the ground. So he ran our combine, and we're running a Klaus 8700, and the SIVA system on it. It's pretty much automating everything. And Chad and I have talked about this before. We don't really care for all that automation on the combine. We can set one up as good or better than what the automation is. But with this new generation coming in, it didn't get all that seat time because, face it, my kids, they're playing ball, they're in hunter safety, they're in all kinds of shooting sports. Where we was in a tobacco field or we was riding on the fender of the tractor. We didn't have the iPads and the iPhones to sit there. We was in the field learning from our fathers and their workers how to set things up. And that automation that's been brought in, you wonder where it's going to benefit. But with this new generation of employees, there's not many farm-raised children to hire from. So when you're hiring them that's never done it, it's a huge benefit having that technology there.
I got a question. Is it Klaus or Klaus?
It's Klaus. All right.
I'm just curious. We've had this conversation before. What do you call it? I'm not
going to get it right.
It's Klaus.
Klaus?
Black ball.
Or Klaus.
Black balls. But we're not German.
Depends on which dealer it is when you're talking to them.
I'm going to keep going down the road of rudimentary. I think anything that made it so you didn't have to pick up small square bales and throw them around would get my vote for innovation. And I know small square bales still have a place for like race horse people and all that. But if you don't have to handle them, I got no discs in my lower back because I've handled them all the time. So I think anything that got away from that would be one of my favorite advancements. And I'd say, looking at what the technology, I don't think that these driverless things are as big of a deal because you already got to be in the tractor. Until you can get out of the tractor, I don't know what the big benefit is to it steering itself if you got to sit in there anyhow. If it could be that you didn't have to sit in there and it was truly autonomous, then I think that's an overrated technological advancement.
Well, there's a company now making...
You're way mistaken.
You think auto steer is not overrated?
And what we're forgetting, too, we're forgetting the genetics. We're forgetting that we've learned about carbons and different things that we're using today that we didn't use back in the 50s. But I went to a meeting last week, and they actually have a robot that runs in your field 24/7, and it can detect diseases. It can detect grass versus broadleaf.
Wildlife. They had it at Raleigh showing it chasing deer out of the field.
It can do so many different things. It's solar powered. And it's also got a 40-foot boom with tanks mounted underneath the solar panel. So there's nothing being generated. Everything's being generated from the sun as far as the energy.
And so it's out there. It can run through your field and then is it spraying?
Yeah, you can spray or you can just scout with it. You can do either one. It looks like a big ping pong table.
Is it still in the concept or is it?
No, they have it in production.
I could buy this thing.
You could buy that thing. $50,000. I already checked them.
You get one? Chad's got two of them.
I really want one bad. I just can't afford it. If corn goes to $6, I'm on.
You gonna get one of those?
Oh man, I'd like to have one of them. We'd crash it.
Oh, it don't run for 1 mile an hour.
Oh, they got that, and it was at Raleigh. It's like
track?
4 legs, look like a dog.
It's kind of like a four-wheeler.
Yeah, it's scoot.
It's on wheels.
No, it's like legs.
I don't know.
It actually goes like that.
Yes, sir.
We ain't got that far with it.
Yes, sir.
The AI technology is fixing to change the world in farming. I mean, we see it on the AI, just on writing letters or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's literally going to change. The same meeting, there's a guy now with a company that is measuring droplets per plant, not gallons per acre. So the claim is that you can reduce your chemicals by 30%, change your water volume to half if you can get those amount of droplets per plant. There's nobody else in the world doing that. This guy graduated from MIT in spray technology.
Oh my.
He came from India and was on a backpack sprayer his whole life. So he was motivation to get this done.
That backpack sprayer will motivate you on.
So 14 acres is what they found.
14 acres of the backpack. You got that right.
He did all the spray.
What'd you think about that? That we think we're already using lower dose and we're getting better. And we already talked about in a different episode where we talked about the lowering of the amount of nasty chemicals we're putting out there, and all that kind of stuff. Now we're talking about drops per plant, cutting the rate and cutting the amount of water, which means you're going to have to go and fill up the sprayer less. I mean, that could be a game changer.
It is. It's again, and I'm going to work with them some this year on it, and I'll know more about next year when we do granaries. But it's absolutely amazing. Now, are the crop protection companies going to like that? Maybe not.
No, because they're selling those products.
But like you say, that when you're putting on a herbicide, a contact herbicide, it's not a residual. You don't want it on the ground.
No, the thing is, you'll use the same amount of herbicide, won't you? You'll just use less water. So
he's saying you can cut. He's saying with the coverage, you can cut the rate back.
Right.
You're going to get more precise placement of the drop.
Of the drop.
More parts per million.
And nobody's been measuring droplets per plant.
Yeah. No, that's pretty much.
So that's part of AI. He also has a drone that follows behind your dry spreader. And AI is calculating the where we do pan tests, if you know what that is with a dry spreader. There'll be no more pan tests with this. It sits there and tells you, okay, you need to adjust these fins or you need to, open your gate or what. It's doing everything by drone technology with AI. And
this is why I keep you XtremeAg guys around, and we do this here in the granary because you guys are broadening my mind. I was so rudimentary. I didn't even get to the tech. I was just going through things that I like. I've got a little steel chainsaw that's only this big. It's battery operated. So when I need to prune stuff, I can just go like this. And instead of taking a bill of saw like this, you're over here talking about the space, like the future of like we're farming on Mars kind of stuff, and I'm over here just thinking about tools that make it so I don't have to work as hard. Thinking about chainsaws.
When you sit in office, you have time to think about these kind of things.
He keeps going back to this. I'm never going to live it down. All right.
I mean, look at the technology you've got with your Jazzbo deal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at that. I mean, we're sitting there measuring all the grain. You've got know what's in each bin.
Yeah.
You know what the scale tickets are. You can tell me how many bushels is in there. It's all recorded.
Yeah, we're getting more engaged with what's going on, and the AI is going to work in the field to do the same things we're doing with computers and stuff in the office or grain bins or whatever. And we didn't went over genetics, the difference in the genetics,
we ain't even got
today.
to open that door yet.
So I've had people ask me, non-farm people, hey, you're an ag guy. I read that chickens today are twice as big as they were just 30, 40 years ago, and it's all because of steroids. I said, you're right that chickens are twice the size and, fit. It only takes 45 days. And I said, but none of them are on any kind of steroids or growth hormones. It's because genetics, because they have people, and not too far from him, there's an entire poultry company. I did a program for them right there. All they're thinking about every day is how to build a better chicken genetically. And then on the other side of the campus is somebody figuring out how to use nutrition at places like Auburn or Arkansas where there's big chicken states. Nutrition, genetics.
I had to correct my pastor about that. He said that from the pulpit. The hormones in chickens.
He said there's none that aren't
I sent him a
occurring.
text during his sermon where he'd get it when he got through. He said, there ain't no hormones in chicken.
Yeah. Now, we can argue that maybe it's not as flavorful as grandma made, came off the pasture or whatever, but
we're feeding more people.
Yeah, it's amazing technology. Like you said, that's genetics. About the seed. Kelly switched back to non-traited seed, but hell, 10-year ago seed technology is still better than 30-year ago seed technology by double.
Yeah, and Kelly's not wrong. I mean, our Roundup corn, a lot of times without yield, our traded corn. But you take something like cotton and you don't have resistance to bollworm, that's a whole nother story.
Until you get in a situation that you had never been in.
Yep.
A lot of this stuff is a protection deal. And
insurance policy.
This insurance policy. And in this one area, you can't be in every field all the time, right? Yep. You get in a situation you hadn't been in, you get a flight in when we did the boll weevil eradication. What happened with the worms?
Right.
They like to eat us up. You get a flight or you get something like that happen, and you got a problem on your hands.
You can do the math on corn in our area, and the amount of corn that the worm eats is less value than what the cost of the trade is. The problem is these companies, they ain't stupid. So they're going to put their best corn with the traits in it. There's a company right now that's going to have a lifesaver product that I've got to use. They're pairing it with their non-generic partner that they've had all the time. That's now you can buy a generic. So if you buy that life-saving product, you're going to have to buy their branded version of the other one. Yeah. I'm not going to say who that is or whatever, but these marketing firms ain't stupid.
What about, I did a video for social media in one of my fields over here down the road, and it was in June. We got 1.2 inches in June of rain, and that was coming into after a fairly dry May, and it was 90 more days than, maybe 1/3 of the month was 90, which is not normal for northern Indiana. I went out and stood in that field, and it still was looking pretty darn good. And I shot the video and said, you want to talk about, I don't like all the factory farms and modern technology and like food and all that. I said, if you're not an ag person, you have no understanding of how amazing this is, because 30 years ago, this would have already been shriveled up and dead.
Yep.
Shriveled up and dead. You can dig down and couldn't find moisture that far. That's a testament to the genetics, period. It is. And so you keep that crop. Did it set a record? Not necessarily, but it stayed alive. 30 years ago, it would have been shriveled, and 60 years ago, it would have been blown away.
Well, it's that. Plus, you take the difference in the root mass. With these new products we have from these companies.
Building that factory.
You're building a bigger root system, which you go deeper in the ground. Those technologies are coming from our companies, our infers and different products that we use.
Yeah.
What are you making fun of me or something behind my back?
No, that was good.
You looking at him, y'all smiling.
I want to smile at Chad. Chad makes me smile. Sometimes he makes me mad too, but that's all right. We touch all those genetics. Kelly was here earlier. He was talking about this, all the emotions: mad, sad, glad, and he forgot the other one, fear. Chad's getting to where he's almost afraid of me. But anyway, not really. He doesn't.
I want to see that day.
He's not really afraid about it. Well, you know what? The technology that's beneficial isn't just to farmers. That's where you'd like to tell, the average consumer. Those technologies like we talked about that keep a plant and a field alive in those kind of conditions, it has an environmental impact. That plant is still alive, which means it's processing it's taking carbon monoxide out of the sky and it's protecting that soil from blowing away. There's an environmental benefit to a lot of these things we're talking about.
Well, you take, for instance, like a BT cotton.
Yeah.
Well, your choice is to have a GMO cotton variety or spray pesticides on it. Which one's the safest?
Yeah,
I'd a whole lot rather have a GMO embedded in my plant than have more pesticides put on it.
look at the environmental.
And it's working all the time.
Yeah.
The stuff that you talked about, those sprayer shutoffs. There's an environmental benefit to there. You're putting out.
Well, it's true, but we'll talk about GMOs a minute. One thing you got to remember, GMO is genetically modified organism. So
I've heard this story and it's good. I know where he's going.
Every time since Adam and Eve conceived the first child, the DNA has been different. The genetics has changed in the beginning of time, every time. No two genetics are the same. So, you're breeding to get something better. It's just like, you want your child to have a spouse that's a good spouse, good positive. You want to improve your cattle herd. You want to improve. You're not going to breed that bull with a sick cow. Right. I mean, you're not going to do it. You want it healthy. It's just like a ball team. You put together a good ball team to win, and that's what they do with these varieties and the breeding, like you talked about with the chickens, and same with corn, soybeans, even wheat, and now, one thing to remember with wheat is you do not have Roundup Ready wheat, so you don't have chemically altered genetics or different trait resistance in any wheat products that I'm aware of to this day.
Or rice.
Yep. But the fact is the goal is to breed it so that the plants defend the diseases off their self. Yep. And then one thing to remember, the products that we use, lots of times we're putting 1/4 of an ounce on 43,560 square foot of land. That's how accurate and particular and precise the equipment and the operators are doing this. That's pretty impressive when you can spread that evenly across 43,560 square feet.
Chad, since I keep going to you on equipment stuff, the one you didn't go with, and it's not one, it's an evolution. I always, these people he's got a picture with his family in front of an old 50-year-old International Harvester tractor and all that. We like going to the state fair and seeing some old tractors. I don't have any interest in going out here and working all day with one of those. Oh, they'll make them like they used to. No, they make them a lot better.
He ain't never had a computer software mess up and shut you down for a week.
Yeah, well, maybe not, but I can tell you what. I
ain't going back.
Man, we thought it was cool. We bought this 4955 and thought it's cool to go down there.
Till you drive it.
You drove that thing about 2 hours, the cool was gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
Man, just bellowing.
I get a massage every day at 3 o'clock.
Right. You got a well, seriously, it's neat to look back and say all that, but okay, great. Go and get on those cabless tractors. The first tractor they put me on, the clutch, you had to push it this far. I was 8 years old. I had to stand up and use the steering wheel like a lake press to do that.
We could grow crops in our ears.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly.
Yeah,
I don't want to go back there.
Dusty, dirty, loud. You got sunburned, probably lost your hearing, and also everything. Nothing was convenient about any of that equipment back then. My little utility tractor, I just marvel at how much more productive it is at 15 horsepower less than the first tractor they put me on 48 years ago. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the first time we had a full-time, a four-wheel drive row crop tractor, flipped that front axle in, and you're like, how does a 150 horsepower tractor do this? It'd pull a 200 two-wheel drive backwards.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember a 150 horsepower tractor 40 years ago? Get stuck. You don't get stuck now. Your tractors are better. It was better weighted. You got better.
That's the operator error.
Oh, it's an operator error. Really?
It's a bigger mess. It's a bigger mess.
It's just a bigger mess.
You get these bigger ones.
You need a dirt bucket when you get one.
Yeah.
All right, going around tables. Any last thought? Technology and tools that make your farm life better. You talked about, you went sprayer, you went planter. Then we talked about the evolution of machinery. Then we talked about genetics. We kind of covered about the whole entire farm. Nobody's going back to the simplistic.
Let's talk about a cell phone, man. I mean, used to you had to go to a payphone and check with your broker.
It probably is
the biggest. That's the biggest one.
Google. I mean, right now we want to see what the commodity markets are. Before you had to go to the cell phone, call call your broker and see what the commodity markets were.
Yeah.
Now it's right at your fingertips.
Seriously, I'm surprised it took until now when I said, let's go with the land. That is the biggest one.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, he sometimes he's on a FaceTime with his granddaughter, but sometimes he's actually on there doing business. You know,
he's got one that just hangs off his hat. It just stays right there.
Well, it keeps you information, and you can look up stuff. I mean, there's a whole bunch.
It's allowed us in all business sense to work with way less, just a percentage of the same people.
Oh yeah.
You know, because you didn't have people running everywhere like you can handle.
So we're farming more acres. You know, no way we could farm acres we're farming now with 806s.
No.
Oh man.
4-row.
I was just talking about a cell phone.
Yeah, we're talking about cell phones there.
Because how many 806s would it take?
40, 50. I mean, where you gonna get 40? Well, I guess you could find 40 people. That's another thing. You can't just go pick somebody up off the street now to drive this.
No, that's what he's talking about. Is that it's you gotta have a little bit of skill, but it's also supposed to be more user friendly once you get them to that point.
But you know, the thing is too, though, you can put people that understand technology, and they'll do a better job on it than an operator will.
Than a mechanic will.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I think the smartphone is the one, obviously, and we probably all have the same relationship. But sometimes I'd like to throw the thing in a lake because I'm tired of being annoyed, and I just want to,
What they say about the BlackBerry? It had more storage on it than they did when they put the shuttle up, put the man on the back.
Yeah. And that was a BlackBerry 15 years ago.
Yeah.
You're talking about.
And I made fun of my wife when she got one. I said, "You got a computer and a phone? That's stupid." I had a flip phone, you know. You ever try to text with a flip phone?
Yeah. Now you go in there and you manage your employees. You know what they're doing. You can monitor the pace of the farm. You can be here in Indiana in our granary and still be doing business. Pretty
watching my guys working the shop off of cameras.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unlimited. And AI is even improving that.
Where are we going to go? What's the next big thing?
AI is the next big thing.
AI is the next big thing, and I'm not sure even you guys.
We don't even understand what potential it really is. We think we know, but
I've heard it's going to make world decisions. You know, that they're going, and I asked a pretty influential person in the government, I said, I heard it won't be many years before AI is going to make world decisions, you know, whether we should go to war or not. And the guy said, just stranger things have happened. So that told me that it's coming.
I guess that means then
predicted weather 3 or 4 years out. We've heard that. Somebody told us that not too long ago.
That's right.
What if it's wrong though? Then we're going to really screw up.
I'm not sure I trust the weather.
And there ain't nobody to get mad at.
No.
That's the thing. It's like the Wizard of Oz. Now it's like, who's really behind the curtain?
Yeah, who's behind the curtain?
AI is going to change stuff. I'm not sure that we even know.
Yeah, Mr. Google.
Yeah, we don't have a clue what it's going to.
We don't really. I think that it's kind of the great
robotics. Yeah. I mean, it's fixing to get weird.
That stuff we kind of knew. We knew that there's eventually going to be more automation, right? I mean, look at from cotton to just picking celery or whatever. You're going to get more automation. We knew that, but there's some stuff out here that we don't necessarily know.
Yeah, but the implementation of AI with the robotics is what's bringing things to a level that any of us could have ever imagined.
But you just said there's a robot that goes out and scouts for you.
Yeah.
We talk about stuff like this all the time here at the Granary. We're a very forward-looking group, as you might well know. So anyway, I'm sitting here with Kevin Matthews, Chad Henderson, Matt Miles, they're XtremeAg guys, and you know what? You're welcome to pull up a chair, figuratively, anytime. Pour yourself a drink, make yourself at home, because we want you to be part of the conversation. We do this quite often, as you well know, and we really want you to be a part of it. So until next time, thank you for joining us, and cheers from the Granary.